Hey guys! Unfortunately, once again, I have to do post-commentary for this battle. Of course, welcome to the HitmonChannel. I'm Noah, your coach of the St. Paul Slurpuffs, and this is my battle for Week 3 of the NFL, the Nelson Factory League, and we had to fight Philip, coach of the Moscow Magikarps. Now, he has a very scary team. I'm just going to go over his team because you may notice something odd if you watched the draft analysis. You may notice something odd about his team right here. Because he originally had Landorus, Kyurem Black, Mega Medicham, Volcanion, Mantine, Nidoking, Umbreon, Araquanid, Gardevoir, Alolan Raichu, Steelix, and Xatu. He ended up trading his Kyurem Black this week for a Blacephalon, which I was confused and frightened when he did that because I didn't know how to deal with a Blacephalon. So, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what I brought exactly. Storm Drain, Gastrodon, leftovers, standard set, Scald, Earth Power, Ice Beam, Recover. So pretty standard on that. The Dusclops, I brought it much more standard this week than I have been bringing it. I ran Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, Taunt, and Shadow Sneak. So much more standard Dusclops set than I have been bringing. Jolteon, again, pretty standard set. I went with Choice Specs, and ended up Volt Absorb. Went with Volt Absorb, and it's running Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Hidden Power Ice, and Shadow Ball. The Hydreigon, pretty similar to the set I ran last week. Choice Scarfed, U-Turn, Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor this time around, and Earth Power this time around. Snorlax, I brought a Resto Chesto set. So it's got Chesto Berry, it's got Thick Fat, because I was scared of the Volcanion, and Snorlax can take a hit. Thick Fat Snorlax can take a hit pretty well from Volcanion. And Blacephalon, too. A Fire-type move, anyway. And it's running, Rest, Curse, Return, Earthquake. And then Mew, I was originally going to bring Slurpuff, but then I realized that Stealth Rocks was way too crucial against his team. And I also considered the possibility of transforming into one of his big threats as a really cool idea, because he's got so many big, heavy hitters that I would have loved to transform into and take advantage of those stats. And he also, so I ran Leftovers with Stealth Rock, Transform, Aura Sphere, and Shadow Ball. And then his team, he brought Steelix, Landorus T, Blacephalon, Mega Medicham, Nidoking, and Araquanid. So we are just going to we're going to play this slow so we can go over everything that happens. So he starts off with his Araquanid. I lead with my Mew, hoping to get rocks up. And I do get the rocks up. He goes for Infestation to trap me in. And so I decide, okay, I'm going to transform into this thing, figure out what else he's running. He goes for Sticky Webs, and okay, that's a shame. But then I realize I can get Sticky Webs up. So he switches to his Landorus T, and now that I'm transformed into him, I get Sticky Webs up. So I've got Stealth Rocks and Sticky Webs up, whereas he just has Sticky Webs, which is really nice. He goes for Stone Edge, takes me down to 2%. I go for an Iron Defense, thinking completely forgetting about Stone Edge. So I decide to switch, preserve my Mew. I go to Cindy because it hard walls Landorus. Stone Edge barely does anything. I get Leftovers Recovery. I believe he switches into Araquanid and I ended up going for, what did I go for here? Scald. Okay. So it doesn't do too much, obviously, because it's resisted. And we kind of have a stalemate here. I switch to my Jolteon. He goes for Infestation, of course. Now, I predict a switch, so I go for HP Ice, because I predict him to switch into Lando or Nidoking, or Steelix. Unfortunately, he doesn't, goes for Liquidation, and is able to take me out with the Infestation damage, unfortunately. So Jolteon goes down, bad start for me. I send in my Snorlax. I believe at this point he switches in Medicham, and as he does this, I go for a Curse. And I'm hoping I can live a fighting-type move, so I decide to go for the Return. He Mega Evolves, of course, does go for the Drain Punch, takes me down to 22%. And I do take it out with a +1 Return, which is super nice. So Snorlax gets a kill. Awesome play for me. He sends in Blacephalon, gets off a Dark Pulse, takes out my Snorlax, unfortunately. I went for Rest that turn, hoping to live a hit, but didn't take Dark Pulse into consideration. I switch in my Hydreigon, he then switches out into Landorus, as I go for the Earth Power. He predicts that, of course, perfectly, and I switch into Gastrodon. Again, every time he sends out Lando, I switch Gastrodon in, because Gastrodon hard counters Landorus. It's pretty sweet. He switches in Araquanid. At this point, we have a stalemate. I just hope for the special defense drop. He goes for Infestation. Yeah, I go for the Ice Beam, hoping for the Freeze. Don't get it. He goes for another Infestation. At this point, he's probably guessed that I have Storm Drain, and that's why he's not going for Liquidation. He just doesn't want to risk it. So I keep going for Earth Power, hoping to get special defense drops. He keeps going for Infestation just for chip damage, because I haven't revealed Recover yet. I go for Earth Power one more time, and I believe I go for Recover the next turn. So, yeah, these two are kind of just kind of at a stall war here. Of course, because my Gastrodon has Recover, it does outstall the Araquanid. He switches in his Landorus, and I get a free Recover up, which is really nice for me. At this point, I'm like, okay, I can take this thing out with a Scald, probably. I live in Earthquake, of course, and I do take it out with a Scald, which is amazing. Took out his two biggest threats pretty quickly, so that was a relief. Sends in Blacephalon, it's now down to a little over 50% thanks to Stealth Rocks. I switch in my Hydreigon. He goes for a Shadow Ball. Does a decent amount, but not nearly enough. And at this point, I forget what I was predicting. I was predicting a switch into Araquanid or Nidoking, so I went with Draco. I should have gone for Earth Power. I really should have gone for Earth Power there. I switch in my Gastrodon because it also pretty much hardballs Steelix. Again, Gastrodon was crucial to fighting Philip's team, and I'm very glad I did end up, I did so well. Now I go for the Recover here, and I switch out back to Hydreigon, fearing a potential Grass-type move from the Nidoking. He just goes for Earth Power. He probably didn't have a Grass-type move. I don't even know if he gets any besides Hidden Power Grass. He does go for Ice Beam the next turn, taking out my Hydreigon. But I do get him low enough where my Mew can just come in, outspeed, and take it out with a Shadow Ball. At this point, I'm just like, okay, I can sack off Mew now. And then send in my Dusk, because he sends in his Blacephalon, which I'm like, okay, this is perfect. I sack off Mew here, and then I switch into my Dusclops and take it out with a Shadow Sneak. So that's exactly what I do. He does get the Beast Boost, but that is fine, because, again, I switch in, and it doesn't and the speed doesn't matter because I go for Shadow Sneak, and it does take out the Blacephalon, which is a huge relief to me. He sends in his Steelix, and this is another bit of a stall war, a bit. He goes for Crunch, which does a little over half, but I Will-O-Wisp this turn, hit it, and so he's burned, so I know a Crunch isn't going to take me out, so I just keep going. He goes for another Crunch. he's already accepted defeat at this point. I Pain Split just to stall out a little bit because he can't take me out this turn. I Pain Split again, and I think at this point that I might be able to take it out with a Shadow Sneak, so that's what I go for. I do not take it out. I was hoping to preserve a 2-0, but he does take me out with a Crunch, and he does die to Burn here. So Gastrodon comes, so Araquanid comes in for him, Gastrodon comes in for me, and we just have a bit of a stalemate. I mean, my Gastrodon outstalls his Araquanid because he doesn't have recovery. And I knew that because I had copied his entire set. He can Iron Defense, but that won't protect him from Cindy because I'm all special. So he's just going for Infestation. I tell him if he wants to speed this up, he can hit Liquidation, and he refuses to give me the satisfaction of that. But that is fine because we do end up going to the end. I believe this turn we take him out. Because even though Infestation is constant damage and it more than counters my leftovers, I've got Recover, so even if he got me to low enough range, he couldn't have killed me because I had Recover, and I outsped, so yeah, there was no winning for him in the end there, but that was a great game. This is the closest game of the league so far. The only 1-0 game we've had, which is amazing. There's been a couple 2-0s, but this is the first game we've had. But Cindy pulled through. Again, Cindy was the first mon where I was like, okay. This thing is great against Philip's team. So it worked out the way it did. Yeah. Again, I'm very glad at the way this battle went. It was a great battle on both ends. I thought it was great. I had a great time. He's a good friend. Check out his other battles in the league, of course. I believe at this point I'm 2-1. We had the same record before this battle. We had the same record. But he had better differential than me. But after this battle, I have the better record. But we have the same differential. I believe we both have the same record. Both of us. But again, GG to my buddy Philip. Check out his other battles. He's the coach of Magikarps. Really great battles. And this was a great battle. Probably the best battle I've had. And join us next week. We are facing off against the USSR Strings, coached by the Big Cat. He's got as a team. There are a lot of big cats on the team. But we're gonna have to end this battle. We're gonna have to end the video now. See you guys next week. Battle against us. And of course, watch all the other battles this week. I'll be commenting for all of them. Today is his own thing, which is nice work for me. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm really sorry you guys couldn't have the commentary, but just last week, I've carried that commentary. It just didn't turn out. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this. I'm gonna get out. Peace. Come on. There we go.